Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for the English medium civil services aspirants. A very good morning and welcome to the most comprehensive Hindu analysis on YouTube. So let's start our discussion by first looking at the topics that we are going to discuss. Today from the Delhi edition, I have chosen 7 important articles for a detailed coverage so that you don't have to go back and read the paper again. And yesterday from PIB, there were no important articles as such, so we can skip that, but we'll focus on these 7 articles in the Hindu newspaper. But before we start, I have an important announcement for those of you who are preparing for 2027 and beyond. If you're looking for a structured guided program for your UPSC civil services preparation, then Unacademy is presenting the Elevate batch, which starts from the 1st of July. And this would be the perfect opportunity to enroll because you get a triple treat offer as part of Siksha Mahotsav. Unacademy is providing the subscription at the lowest price ever of 16,999. And this price is not going to come back this year. You will also get double validity, which means you avail a 6-month subscription, you get 6 months subscription free. And the same for 9, 12, and 18 months. You also get CSE Assure Guarantee. That is, if you don't clear the exam despite your best effort, then your next attempt is on us. So you will get all the 3 benefits if you enroll before the 30th of June. So those interested, please check out the details in the link provided below. On the subscription page, you will see a different price. But to avail the offer, you have to apply the code IAS English. With this, let's get started and look at the first article. On page number 8, there's an article relevant for environment and ecology. This article is based on a recent scientific study that was published in a scientific journal that points out the role of elephants and how elephant conservation efforts can help us achieve carbon stabilization. This study has brought out evidence linking elephant conservation efforts with carbon stabilization and overall improvement of the forest health and the health of the ecosystem. So let's break down this topic. Let's go beyond the article as well, because this can be a direct mains question in GS paper 3. So the elephants, particularly the Asiatic elephants, they are listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. They face a number of threats from hunting and poaching to habitat destruction and habitat fragmentation. So when it comes to the role of these elephants in the ecosystem, they occupy a very low faunal biomass. Given the limited population of the elephants, as per the latest synchronized All India assessment that was done, India has around 22,000 approximately elephants. But if you account for their overall biomass in the ecosystem, the faunal biomass they contribute is very less compared to the overall biomass and organic matter in an ecosystem. But they play a pivotal role. They actually engineer the ecosystems. They play that crucial role which makes the forest healthy, which strengthens the entire ecosystem and allows the ecosystem to flourish. And thus, it can enhance carbon sequestration and carbon storage. So the forest will not only thrive if elephants are thriving, it will actually help in carbon stabilization as well. And that is exactly what researchers have found. Because in carbon stabilization, you employ sequestration and carbon storage techniques to remove the greenhouse gas emissions from the atmosphere and lock it for the long term, either in the soil or in solid form, usually in organic matter, so that it stays locked away from the atmosphere and it helps you combat climate change. Now, how exactly do elephants play this role? Is it a direct link or is it a sort of a cascading effect that happens in the ecosystem? Now, see, when you look at the conservation efforts for elephants in India, we have a dedicated project elephant as well. We have dedicated elephant reserves and elephant corridors that are set up. But the study has established that conservation efforts they don't depend just on mere declarations of an elephant reserve or elephant corridor. Making those announcements, setting up these reserves and protected areas, that's an easy task. But the real challenge is whether the conservation efforts are actually being implemented on the ground or not. So when you look at India's progress, back in 1990s, we had just 3 elephant reserves. Today, we have 33 elephant reserves in the country. The overall area under protection as elephant reserves has also increased multiple times from around 18,000 square kilometers to more than 88, close to 80,000 square kilometers. So, just by declaring these areas, you will not automatically conserve elephants. It will not automatically improve their population numbers as well. In fact, the research has disproven this myth that just because you set up protected areas, population will automatically increase. That does not happen. And it also establishes that just by establishing protected areas, you can't achieve overall ecosystem conservation. You can't see actual benefits in carbon stabilization. There are many other added measures which are needed on the ground, especially protection of the overall habitat, protection of the mega herbivores and the mega species that are present, like elephants. They have this balancing role to play in the ecosystem. So, according to this study, the elephant population has gone up by around 6.7%, but the carbon stored in these areas has increased by 38%. That is their evidence to show that when you conserve elephants, when you conserve these habitats of elephants, these habitats will store more carbon, meaning the overall biomass and the forest organic matter increases, the ecosystem thrives, locking more and more carbon away. So this cannot be interpreted as elephants directly contributing to increase in forest cover. That's not how it works. What elephants do is they reshape your ecosystem as a mega fauna or a mega herbivore. They play this balancing role in the ecosystem where they contribute. They have a unique ecological niche. By performing this ecological role, they bring improvements in the overall forest health and the health of the ecosystem and the soil as well. So, this in turn improves the forest cover, the green cover, and the organic matter which is present, which locks away more and more carbon. So, that is the connection which exists. It's not that increase in elephant population will automatically result in more carbon being stored or it will automatically result in expansion of forest cover. It doesn't work like that. But there is a clear correlation that exists. When you conserve and protect these mega herbivores and their habitats, when the right measures are taken, it definitely contributes to an overall healthy ecosystem. Because studies have shown that elephants act as ecosystems engineers. For example, look at how elephant dung is rich in nutrition. It can increase the fertility of the soil. They play a role in dispersal of seeds, helping in propagation. They also create space for a very broad, diverse vegetation and ecosystem to thrive. It is this ecological role of elephants which helps maintain a healthy ecosystem and, in turn, which will help increase the organic matter and lock away more and more carbon. So, that is the correlation that exists. The study has also shown just establishment of elephant reserves and corridors in India did not automatically translate into more elephant population. In fact, as I said, the latest synchronized All India elephant estimate places the elephant population in India around 22,000. In 1990s, it was around 25,000 with a overall increase of 6.7% which has been noted till 2025. Now, some of you might be a little surprised by this number because it looks like there is a mistake, right? If in 1990s we had 25,000 elephants and population has grown by 6.7%, how come we now have only 22,000 elephants? What is this mismatch? This is because the counting methodology has changed. So you can't directly compare the both. The new methodology was introduced recently for the 2021-2025 All India synchronized census. So the data collected before that, the last census was in 2017, that data was more fragmented, whereas the current methodology is more accurate and it's a similar methodology used for estimating tiger population as well in the country. So that's why these numbers provide a more effective and accurate count. So you can't make a direct comparison with the older numbers. So right now, the population stands at 22,000, but the study has shown that just by creating 33 elephant reserves and more elephant corridors, automatically it has not led to rise in elephant population. So overall, elephant population will thrive. The ecosystems will thrive when you actually conserve and protect the ecosystem, preventing the fragmentation of habitats. That is one of the biggest challenges for the big species because these are migratory in nature. They move from one area to another, one forest to another. So conserving those migratory corridors are critical. But linear projects that cut through forest land, they are the biggest threat for our ecosystems. Construction of roads, highways, expressways, railway tracks, laying power lines. So these linear projects, they will fragment the habitat. That remains a serious concern. So if these issues are addressed with local community involvement, then definitely conservation of elephants will result in overall improvement of the ecosystem and will help in increasing the storage of carbon as well to help achieve carbon stabilization. In fact, similar linkages have been found by corresponding studies in the African savanna as well, where African elephants have played a role in increasing the overall organic matter and biomass in their ecosystems. So, what the writers have suggested is that this has to be accounted for. The role of the wildlife contribution in improving carbon sinks and carbon storage, this has to be accounted for. Right now, India has a very ambitious goal of establishing a carbon sink by the end of the decade, which is declared under our voluntary commitments under the Paris Agreement. So, greater conservation of the mega species, the mega herbivores, which play that balancing role in the ecosystem, can make the task easier for India. And also, the contribution should be accounted for under the RED framework, which is reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, where credits can be provided to incentivize the governments and the local communities to take up the role of conserving such mega herbivores, which can actually help in conserving ecosystems as well. So, based on what we have understood, kindly take up this practice question to illustrate, examine the role of elephants as ecosystems engineers. Now, let's move to the next article. We have a detailed explainer today on the question of passport not being a proof of your citizenship. Now, this is a topic which has captured national attention, right? It came into limelight when an official from Ministry of External Affairs pointed out that your passport is not a conclusive proof of citizenship. This response was to a question, that a query which was raised. The query was on whether passport can be used in the ongoing SIR exercise in the special intensive revision. If, let's say, a voter's name has been excluded from the electoral roll, then can I use my passport to prove my citizenship and get my name listed on the voter's roll? This was the query. To this, the official from MEA said, passport is just a travel document, nothing more than that. It's not a conclusive proof of your citizenship. And this statement went viral across the country. So, what exactly is a passport? And what is its legal validity? What establishes your citizenship in the country? Is there any one document through which you can prove your citizenship? So, let's break down this complex topic. In fact, there's still a lot of gray areas that exist with regard to the question of citizenship. So, we can demystify that with the help of this article. Now, when you look at passport issued by the Ministry of External Affairs, it is issued under the legal provisions of the Passport Act. And what is the purpose of your passport? It is to help you travel abroad. That is the only purpose of your passport, nothing else. The main purpose of the passport, as per the Passport Act, is to facilitate your travel to another country so that you can pass through the ports of entry and immigration by proving your nationality. Now, this is where the confusion arises. If I can use my passport to prove my nationality as an Indian, then doesn't it mean that I'm an Indian citizen? Passports are given primarily to Indian citizens, right? But the argument is not so simple. So let's try to analyze this. Let's break it down. Now, Section 5 of Passport Act, as I said, provides for this travel document to be issued to the nationals of India. Of course, when passport is issued, there is a thorough verification which is done, right, including by your local police. They even take other uh, backup documents to verify your identity, your place of residence, your place of birth. They even look at your family tree as well. So there is extensive verification which is done, and passports are essentially given to Indian citizens. Correct. But however, if a dispute arises over your citizenship, then you can't say passport is the proof of my citizenship because it is not a conclusive proof. Why? Under the Passport Act, we have Section 6, Clause 2, Subclause A, and Section 20 of the Passport Act. Now, please read the provisions here. The authority can refuse issuing a passport if the individual is not a citizen of India, which means passport cannot be given to non-citizens or foreigners. And we have understood that passport is a travel document identifying your nationality given to citizens of the country. But however, there is an exception. The exception is that the government may issue passport to even a non-citizen in certain cases in public interest. Now, let's say, for example, there is a stateless individual or a refugee who has sought asylum in India. Now, this stateless person or refugee, if they have to travel abroad, they have no legal document. They can't enter any port of entry, right? They will not be given admission by the immigration in the other country. So, if there is a larger public interest to be served, then the government, that is the Ministry of External Affairs, can issue a passport under Section 20, even to a non citizen. Clear? There was one recent incident in Tamil Nadu in 2023. The daughter of Sri Lankan refugees, who was essentially stateless, right, was ordered by the Madras High Court to be issued a Indian passport so that she could travel in the Harina case. So there is a possibility non-citizens can also acquire Indian passport, though it is generally given only for Indian citizens. So though it establishes your nationality, it enables your travel. This is not a conclusive proof of your citizenship if there is a dispute. In the Maneka Gandhi case 1978, it was made clear that those with Indian passport enjoy certain rights. For example, the government of India will be responsible for those of Indian nationality when they are abroad. And the Indian diplomatic missions abroad, our embassies, consulates, and high commissions, they have a duty to protect you and assist you when you're in a foreign country. That's why your passport becomes a powerful document. But beyond that, it cannot be a conclusive proof of your citizenship when a dispute arises. So tomorrow, let's say your citizenship is under question. You can't show the passport and say, look, that I'm an Indian citizen just because I have a passport. Yes, passport is mainly given to Indian citizens, but that cannot be a decisive proof. So then what is? Then is Aadhaar card a proof? Is electoral ID card a proof? Now, the question here is electoral rolls again should contain the names of Indian citizens only, right? Because the voting right is given only to citizens, not to non citizens. And maintaining the sanctity of the election process, maintaining the electoral roll, is the responsibility and the constitutional duty of the Election Commission of India. That's why the Election Commission keeps updating, purifying the electoral rolls through the ongoing SIR exercise, which is undergoing in at least 16 states, and rest of the country would be covered very soon. So here, the Election Commission has given out around 11 documents which can be provided to establish that you're a citizen of India and your name should be listed as an eligible voter in that constituency. But however, the Supreme Court, which was looking into this matter, has clarified that first, Aadhaar is not a proof of your citizenship. I mean, this is a well known fact. Ever since the UID project was started several years ago, right? The Unique Identification Authority of India has been very, very clear on this. Aadhaar is never a proof of citizenship. It's more a proof of identity as to who you are, where you reside, your basic details, so you can avail certain services in the country, certain public services, opening bank account, getting a SIM card connection or an internet connection. For availing services in the country, you need an Aadhaar card, but it's not a proof of citizenship. And also, Aadhaar is issued to non-citizens as well. It's given to any ordinary resident who's residing in the country for a certain number of period. So Aadhaar is definitely not a proof of citizenship, and you can never use that even to argue that you're an Indian citizen. The Supreme Court has made this very, very clear. But in the Lal Babu Hussain case, here the court had clarified that electors whose names appear on the electoral roll, they are presumed to be an Indian citizen. And if at all they have to be stripped of their citizenship, it has to follow the procedure prescribed by law. That's what the Supreme Court had observed in the Lal Babu case of 1995. That once your name is in the voter list, you should be presumed to be an Indian citizen, because voting right is accorded only to citizens of India. And to deny this right, to deny that you're an Indian citizen, it should follow the procedure established by law. Now, what is the law that determines your citizenship? That is the Citizenship Act of 1955. Now, when you look at the Citizenship Act, there are different ways through which you acquire citizenship. One is through birth, which is the case with majority of us, right? Then through descent, if you're of Indian origin, by registration, by naturalization, or if India incorporates foreign territory, right? Now, amongst these categories, only two categories are actually issued a citizenship certificate. There is one document which is given, right, which proves your citizenship. This document is issued by the Home Ministry, Ministry of Home Affairs. And who gets it? It is given to those who acquire citizenship through registration or naturalization. Let's say a foreign national, right, through the process of naturalization, after fulfilling the eligibility criteria, after residing in the country for the minimum prescribed time, which is around 12 years, if they are given citizenship, then a citizenship certificate is given to them. Same with registration. But for citizenship by birth, descent, etc., there is no one single document. There's no uniform document which identifies that you're a citizen of India. So your citizenship is established through a multiplicity of documents: your birth certificate, your school educational records, your parental documents, right? Your Aadhaar card, voter ID card, passport, everything together plays a role. And it all depends on the context. It all depends on what is the exact dispute coming up in your case. So if you possess a certain list of documents, then you can prove that you're an Indian citizen. Now, when you look at citizenship by birth, it's not a straightforward, simple process. Just because you're born in India doesn't mean automatically you become an Indian citizen. It's quite complicated. Those born between 26 Jan 1950 to July 1st, 1987, they were automatically given Indian citizenship by birth, irrespective of who their parents were or where they were born. Right? This is to account for the changes caused by the partition. But post 1987, from July 1st to December 3rd, 2004, those kids who were born in this period, at least one parent must have been an Indian citizen. Clear? Then those born after December 3rd, 2004, one parent must be an Indian citizen, plus there is an added condition that the other parent should not be an illegal migrant. If one of the parent is declared illegal migrant, then the kid born after 2004 will lose their citizenship. Then through descent, that is those who are born outside India. If parents are Indian citizens, if one or two parents are Indian citizens, then by descent, you can apply for citizenship. But post 2004, there is a requirement that they must register at the Indian consulate within a prescribed period. This is a mandatory requirement. Then, as I said, naturalization, registration, it depends on fulfillment of certain criteria. So persons of Indian origin, right, PIOs, whose ancestors would have been Indians, who would have migrated abroad, they can apply for citizenship through registration. But they will have to fulfill residency criteria and few other eligibility conditions. Then even a foreign citizen of any foreign country can apply. But again, there are restrictions here, right? Depends on which country they are from, depends on whether they can fulfill the eligibility criteria and the residency criteria, which is usually around 12 years. After that, citizenship can be given to them. So in case of registration and naturalization, they actually will possess a citizenship certificate issued by the Home Ministry. The others don't have a single document. It all depends on a collection of documents. Your birth certificate. Problem is, many people in the country may not have birth certificates, right? Either it was never documented or it might be lost. And the other required documents as well might might raise up a lot of questions. That's why you need a set of documents. That's why when NRC exercise was conducted in Assam, right, or when the SIR exercise is being conducted by the Election Commission, a set of documents are given. NRC had prescribed 12 documents. Election Commission for the SIR exercise has prescribed 11 documents. But Election Commission cannot determine whether you're a citizen or not, meaning it can't take away someone's citizenship. The Supreme Court has made this very clear. Yes, Election Commission has a duty to ensure only citizens, eligible citizens, are listed on the voters list. But doesn't mean through SIR exercise your citizenship can be taken away. Because as established in the Lal Babu case, citizenship can be denied, that is only on procedure established by law, only on those grounds. So, what is the solution here? Because, see, some countries do have a proper citizenship document, but India doesn't. According to former Foreign Secretary Nirupama Rao, India has to fix its documentation problem, the civic registration problem that we have, which is birth certificates, maintaining proper archives, ensuring a comprehensive civil registration and universal birth registration. This is something which we have to streamline. Though today most births are registered and recorded, again, you might see some discrepancies even today. And especially older data may not be properly stored. Many of the certificates are not even digitized. So this is where India faces a big challenge, right? Because other option is to conduct a NRC like exercise, a National Register for Citizens, which was done in Assam, to ask citizens to prove that they are Indian citizens with a list of documents. But this is always a controversial exercise. It could result in unfair exclusions, unfair inclusions. Illegal migrants might get included. Genuine Indian citizens might get excluded. So this will turn out to be a humanitarian tragedy as well, right? Many countries which have experimented with such models, they have failed miserably. So that's not a feasible option. Politically, it's a very sensitive topic. So only thing India can do going forward is to streamline the civil registration process and ensure that proper records are maintained. Ensure that everyone can prove that they are citizens by birth, because rest of the other categories can be easily managed. Now take up this practice question based on what we have covered, and please practice your answer writing. Now, another important article on page 11 that focuses on the amendment and the new rules of FCRA, the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. As the name itself tells you, the purpose is to regulate foreign contribution, that is, foreign funds being provided to entities in India, particularly NGOs, non government organizations, which might be involved in social work or religious work, for example, right? So, this is regulated by the Home Ministry because foreign funds could potentially be misused to create internal security challenges. What if a foreign intelligence agency is using a non state entity to instigate protests, riots, or to shape public opinion, right? That is seen as a security challenge that would amount to external interference in our internal matters. So, foreign funding is heavily controlled and restricted, and the FCRA was first brought out in 1976. But this old law was replaced in 2010. It came into effect from 2011, and since then it has been amended several times. It was amended in 2016, again amended in 2018, and as well as in 2020. So now with the fresh proposed amendment, new rules are being notified by the Home Ministry. So let's see what are the proposed changes with regard to foreign funding of NGOs in India. See, the government has alleged that several registered NGOs in the country, they are misusing the funds they are getting, especially the foreign funds. Allegedly, some organizations have been using funds for other purposes than the actual stated purpose of the organization. Let's say a NGO which was supposed to focus on school education might be using the funds for something else, might be using the funds to publish a magazine which might be publishing articles which are against India's interests, right? So that is a concern being expressed by the government. Or let's say an NGO which is supposed to be involved in rural development might be using the funds in some other region to promote religious conversion and proselytizing. So these activities, right, poses a threat for public order, morality, and security of the state. So India is well within its rights to curb and regulate foreign funding, because foreign funding can be a route for external interference. But again, to what extent will you do it? Because any excessive rules will cripple the NGOs and the civil society, and it could even stifle any genuine dissent, opposition, and criticism, which goes against the very spirit of a democratic constitution, right? So that's where the controversy comes up. Now, when you look at the proposed changes, first and foremost, two important requirements have been placed before these NGOs. One, they have to mandatorily register, they have to pay a fee as well for registration. And the registration, the permit which is given to them to receive foreign funds, if they have to get foreign donations, they have to get a permit from the MHA after registering themselves. Now, this permit and registration is very specific to the cause or the work that they are doing. It can't be used for anything else. And it is also geography specific. It is geo-specific, meaning it is given for a particular state or a particular jurisdiction where the NGO is supposed to work. Let's say an environmental organization working in Tamil Nadu. So this NGO will get a permit, it will get itself registered, and it can receive funds only for that purpose, only to work in the state of Tamil Nadu on environmental issues. It can't use the funds for education. It can't use the funds for cultural activities, or it can't conduct its activities in Karnataka or Kerala. That is a restriction which is being placed. So state or geo-specific restriction through a permission and registration system, and the work is also being clearly defined. They can't use the funds for anything they want. They have to define what is their specialization. Only in that area of work can they spend the money, right? Then apart from that, they have to declare all the office bearers, not just the directors and the governing body members, but any individual who plays a major role in the functioning of that NGO. Their names will have to be declared to the government. Is that clear? And they also have to declare any social media handles, websites, books, or publications that they might be publishing. This they have to clearly declare while registering themselves and while getting the permit for receiving foreign funds. So these strict restrictions are placed on them, and they have to pay a separate fee for each registration. If they have to start work in some other, let's say, domain, they have to register again by paying a separate fee. Now, let's say today there's an NGO in the field of religious activity. Now, they would have been given permission after registering with a fee. Now, suddenly, this organization wants to start a school, or they want to do social work. And separately, they have to register again, paying a fee again, defining the geographical area where they'll be working. So each time for every new activity, registration is mandatory, and every time they have to pay a fee. These are the big changes being introduced. Now, there are specific identified domains in which NGOs can function: social, educational, religious, economic, and cultural. Under each category, there is a list of items. They have to clearly specify in which area they are working in. Political activities are strictly prohibited. In the name of educational institution, right, there is a category called promoting awareness on constitutional rights. NGOs can promote constitutional awareness, but in the name of educational awareness and constitutional awareness, they can't engage in political messaging or political propaganda. This is prohibited. Religious activities are also allowed, like conduct of religious education, preaching moral instructions, holding satsangs, for example, or religious public discourses. They're all allowed. But religious conversion, proselytization is clearly prohibited. It's not allowed. And diverting the funds for some other purpose to be used in some other state where they don't have permission is also prohibited. Any violation will invite strict penalties amounting to 30% of the funds received, or 1 lakh rupees, or whichever is higher. So strict penal provisions have been placed on NGOs. The government can essentially get hold of the funds, and based on the trial, 30% of the funds can be imposed as a penalty, or 1 lakh rupees, or whatever is higher. So this essentially affects the financial autonomy of the NGOs. That's the opposition and criticism as well. The political opposition parties and the civil society, they are criticizing the government for these stringent rules. Why? Because this could potentially be misused by the center, especially the ruling party, to target specific NGOs which might be involved in civil society work, which might go against the political interests of the ruling elites. So this could go against the spirit of the constitution. That's one of the criticism which is coming up against the FCRA amendment rules. Now, coming to the prelim section, let's take a quick look at the small articles. On the front page, we have this spectacular image from Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam of two one-horned Indian, or great one-horned Indian rhinoceros. This image depicts the flooding season in the Brahmaputra Valley. See, in Assam, we have important protected areas like Kaziranga, Manas, and Pobitora, which is the key habitat for the great, or the greater one-horned rhinoceros, or the Indian rhinoceros. Now, the Indian rhinoceros is a threatened species listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. It is native to the Indian subcontinent, found specifically in the Indo-Gangetic and the Brahmaputra belt, in India and Nepal, and in Bhutan as well. India, Nepal, and Bhutan. Now, can you find out in which Indian states can you find the rhinoceros in the wild? Can you please mention that in the comments? In which Indian states do we have a wild rhino population? One, of course, is Assam, right? We've already mentioned that. In which other Indian states can you find wild one-horned Indian rhinoceros? Please mention that in the comments. Next, Prime Minister Modi is on an important visit to the island nation of Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. I have done a separate video on this topic yesterday. It is available on our YouTube channel under the video section. So please go and take a look, a short 20-minute video. It will help you understand the entire relationship of India and Seychelles. It might be a small country, but if you watch the video, you'll understand why this visit is critical for India's interests. There is a bigger geopolitical game which is going on, and India is looking to achieve a bigger objective. That's why even a small nation like Seychelles is important. Now, this article says that India has gifted a fast patrol vessel, PS LESPWAR. Remember the name of this vessel? It is indigenously built in India. It's a made in India fast interceptor vessel, which the Coast Guard of Seychelles can use for patrolling its exclusive economic zone and for establishing maritime surveillance. Because small island countries like Maldives, Seychelles, Mauritius, they have very large EEZ, but they don't have the defense capabilities to patrol them and to maintain maritime surveillance. That's where India steps in and helps them, and we donate and gift such aircraft and helicopters and vessels and whatnot, right? We have gifted many such vessels to Maldives and Mauritius as well. We have donated helicopters and reconnaissance planes and aircraft as well to these small island nations. So during this visit, PM Modi has handed over a made in India fast patrol vessel called PS L'Espoir to boost the defense preparedness of the Coast Guard of Seychelles. India has also donated few ambulances, utility vehicles, and boats. India is one of the key development partners of Seychelles. We have funded the construction of most of their infrastructure, from their National Assembly building to their judicial headquarters building. India has funded health and education initiatives, training and capacity building programs. And we also train their armed forces and their coast guard. So we enjoy extensive relations with Seychelles. So please watch this video for a detailed understanding. Next, on page 8, the Union Ministry of Health is launching a new initiative. It is launching the e-Sushrut @clinic platform, which is a hospital information management system, or HIMS. See, whenever you visit a private clinic or a hospital, haven't you seen the staff members using a particular software where they enter your basic details, register you as a patient? When you visit a hospital or a clinic for the first time, right? They register your name and your basic details. You are expected to pay a registration fee as well, correct? So that they can maintain a proper digital record. So every time you visit again, the doctors will have access to your medical history and they can accordingly diagnose you, treat you. And this also streamlines the overall management process within the hospital. From billing to your discharge, everything can be streamlined. So it's all because of a software which is used. Now, these hospital information management systems, they are very expensive. Small clinics cannot afford them. A small clinic in a rural area, they can't afford a sophisticated hospital information management system. Even government primary healthcare centers or even small remote government hospitals, they can't afford these expensive hospital management systems. That is why the government has developed an affordable and efficient platform. The CDAC, the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, has developed this software called e-Sushrut @clinic, which is a affordable hospital information management system that will be provided for clinics, hospitals, government facilities across the country. It is being rolled out in AIMS, in state government hospitals. It will be made available to even small local clinics, to primary healthcare centers, etc. The CDAC will maintain the entire platform because it requires database and cloud management, and CDAC would maintain those services, and it will only charge a very nominal fee of just 499 rupees per month. This is for up to 5 registered users, and CDAC is giving a discount as well on this, a discount of 200 rupees. So effectively, it will become 299 rupees per month, and also first 3 months are free as a trial period. And the best part is that it's a ready to use software, meaning you don't need special computers and special networks. You don't need sophisticated systems, right? It can run on any device and it's user friendly, meaning even a normal clinic staff, right, can operate the software. They don't need any special skills or training. It can be directly plugged and you can start working with it. So this will streamline digitization of medical records, and it will more importantly help the smaller clinics to maintain proper medical records. Clear? So it's called e-Sushrut @clinic. It's a government initiative led by CDAC and the Union Health Ministry. Coming to the last article for today. On the supplement pages, we have an article dedicated to the Khukuri blade or the knife. See, every Sunday, the Hindu reserves these two pages for art and culture related topics. And I feel it can be very important for prelims, right? The Khukuri knife has this unique shape. I'm sure you must have seen this. It's also called a recurve blade, right? Compared to an ordinary knife, it has a very different shape and a design. And it is the national weapon of Nepal. It is a symbolic cultural identity of the Gorkha community. You know, in the Indian Army, we have the Gorkha Regiment. And the soldiers of the Gorkha Regiment, they all use the Kukri knife. It is used for various purposes. It's a multi-purpose, multi-utility knife. It's used by farmers for cutting crops. It's used by hunters for skinning the game that they have caught. It can be used in combat, in warfare, to kill a person, right? It can be used as a regular day-to-day object in the household. So it has multiple purposes, a multi-utilitarian device, and it has a very unique blade shape. And this shape allows the sap or the blood to drip directly downwards without affecting the wooden handle. That's how it has been designed. See, it can be used to make cuts in the trees to extract the sap, right? So in a regular knife, if you keep holding onto the knife, the sap, or let's say in case of blood, it will directly flow onto the hand. So, but a kukri knife doesn't do that. Because of its unique shape, the recurved design, the liquid will directly start dripping and it will not flow back towards the handle. And that's what makes it a very unique item, which is distinctly associated with the Gorkha community. It's the national weapon of Nepal, and it is used by the Nepali army as well, even in the Indian army, particularly in the Gorkha regiment. So that is the brief history of this. It has been an object of target by the British. The British, they largely feared the Gorkhas, right? Just like they've targeted communities across the country and the weapons they would wield. Similarly, the kukri was generally seen as a banned item, right? And that's what gives it additional relevance. So, on this note, we bring the discussion to an end. So, if it was a useful, beneficial session, if you understood everything, do let me know in the comments. Press the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.